Hey guys and girls, my name's Dan, welcome back to The Forge. In this episode of Trust Me, I'm a blacksmith. Let's start a project and talk about where to get the stock for that project. In this episode I'm going to start making a wine bottle / glass holder. So basically what it is an object where you can put your bottle of wine in and your glasses. You can carry it out to the garden, stick it in the ground, open your bottle of wine, put your glasses in the pegs and basically drink the wine. Sit out in your garden or sit out on a picnic or whatever. I think these are going to make great little projects for me to make and sell. Also for you guys, they make great gifts, and they'll also make very interesting objects to sell at like garden shows and stuff like that, potentially, if you wanted to. Now, I'm also going to be discussing stock, where to find your average mild steel bar, how to get hold of it, what sort of prices you should be paying. Well, I'm not going to tell you exactly the prices you should be paying, but where the cheapest place to get them, and also where to get them from. So I'm going to go through a few of those subjects, and I'll see you in a minute. So what we've got here is 2 lengths of mild steel bar. This is 25 by 8, which is inch by 5/16. Now, what I've done is they're not any fixed length. I think this one's like 400mm long and this one's 600mm long. I've just chopped them off the bar. This one's going to become the piece that's going to hold the wine bottle, and this one's going to become the piece that's going to hold the wine glasses. Now, you need enough material, so I would suggest you definitely need at least a foot of both of these, at least 300mm of both of these, but that pretty much should do it. That might change as we go along. And also, these measurements here that I'm giving you now, they're probably going to change as we go along. So it might be better to wait until the end for measurements, but just copy this and we'll get there in the end together anyway. So this one here, both these center dot marks are in the center of the bar, and this one is 60mm or 2.5 inches from this end, and this one is 100mm or 4 inches from the end. I'm going to put these in the fire. I'm going to put a slot punch through here, drift these both to 16mm rounds. I'm then going to use a slitting disc, cut them and make them into T-shapes, just like we did in the coat hook video. Okay, so we've got our holes. They've come out really nicely. I'm quite happy with that. Now, the next job is to mark down the middle and then slit them open. But I've also got to put some more holes in here that I'm also going to punch. And the reason I haven't punched them now is because if I split this open and start forging the T in, which will involve me holding these on end and trying to upset them, I could potentially deform the holes up here. Now, this is one of the subjects that I'm going to cover in a bit more detail in another episode, is assembly. I think it's an important subject that's overlooked when it comes to multi-component pieces, and it's something that I quite enjoy. The assembly process is difficult, but it's also very rewarding if done correctly. Someone asked a really good question on the coat hook video, and that was, why bother going to all of this trouble to punch a hole and then bend it open like this? Well, the simple answer is, if you do it properly, it looks really good. And gives you a really nice transition to where the arms start. I want to point something out just quickly. These little kinky bits here that stick out, they need forging in as soon as possible and getting out of the way, otherwise they're going to give you a cold shut. Okay, a question I get asked quite a bit is where to buy steel from. I get asked where to buy higher carbon steels, and I also get asked where to buy mild steels from, your everyday forging steels. Now, it's a good question, and I think a lot of the issues that are involved with buying steel comes from terminology. The first thing is, most of the industry call it ferrous metals. The companies that are selling steels are often selling stainless steels, high carbon steels, and then chemically stable steels, sometimes referred to as chemically stable iron. That would come under a ferrous metal. Ferrous is a Latin word for iron, and it's the Fe that we show on a periodic table. The other thing that you might want to know to look for is for welding fabrication. If you guys are going out and just typing in where to buy steel, it can be quite daunting. There's a lot of information about very large companies that are selling stuff. They've got delivery charges for you to cover, and it can soon add up. So what would seem like a very cheap, expensive piece of 16 or 5/8 round is actually can become quite expensive. So the best way to get hold of mild steels is to find a welding fabricating company local to you, or a local steel stockist. Now, the best value for money, but might be the most difficult to find, is a local welding fabricating or local fabricating engineering company. Avoid plastic companies, obviously, because we're looking for steel. 9 times out of 10, these companies will have stock on their shelves that they are quite happy to sell. I would recommend you call around a little bit. Don't just go rocking up somewhere and having a look around. They might think you're on the thief. Anyway, the point I'm making is steel fabrication firms or steel stockists buy in bulk 9 times out of 10. They have surplus stock. They're more than happy normally to sell it and make a little bit of a profit. They have the equipment to cut it if you need the lengths making shorter, and also they are probably the cheapest way to get hold of steel, short of buying it directly from a supplier. They can probably also get it for you next day should you require. So yeah, go on Google, look for my local area, welder fabricators, steel fabricators, engineering fabrications, steel frame buildings, steel buildings, for example. So I think that's one of the things, one of the places to go to if you're going to try and find material. The second thing is local small stockists, and again, sometimes they refer to themselves as ferrous metal stockists, sometimes they refer to themselves as steel stock suppliers, but basically the long and short of it is they order in bulk, put stuff on shelves and wait for you to walk through the door and buy it. They sometimes will sell welding supplies alongside that. Sometimes they'll be selling hinges and gates and stuff like that, sort of like the ironmongery side of things. Basically it's your one-stop shop to walk in and buy all your stuff. If you want architectural ironwork, make architectural ironwork, you want a bit of sheet metal. These companies sometimes do bending, sometimes do cutting services. They don't always offer that, but they do. But they're expensive, and they're expensive because they've got a bulk of material that they don't know that they're going to sell. They're keeping it under a roof, and they've got guys in the store to facilitate the sales of those products. Now, if you are looking for steel, I do definitely recommend, especially younger lads and stuff, or girls as well, working at home, you are going to need a vehicle to get hold of the stuff, and you are going to need to get confirmation that these people don't mind cutting up your material for you. I have been in situations where I've gone somewhere, I've ordered some material, they've chopped it in half for me the first time. The second time I've gone in there, they've decided that I'm a pain in the bum. Some places might even charge for cutting. Some places charge like £1 a cut, so like $1 a cut or something like that, which is fairly reasonable. I wouldn't grumble too much about that. Yeah, that's basically the long and short of it. You could buy direct from steel suppliers, I'll put some links down below to some places where I found who are actual steel suppliers. You could buy from them, but one of the biggest issues is they really like to sell bulk. So they are probably going to charge you quite a lot of money for a single item. They are also going to probably charge you delivery, and delivery for me here is about £25, and I'm normally ordering somewhere between £100 to £400 worth of material at a time. So I get hammered a little bit for delivery, but someone like yourself, if you went into a residential area and you ordered a piece of 8mm round bar, I should guarantee you will get literally slammed for trying to do that. So it's something else to be aware of. Ask mum or dad or whoever, an adult, to take you to somewhere if they've got a car to help you chop up the bit of material and load it into your car. Like I said, if you ask nicely, I'm sure the companies will cut it up for you. Right, let's carry on with this. Okay, so what we've got here are the two lengths that I've just teed up nicely. These aren't perfect yet, these aren't finished, these little arms, and I'm not going to get them perfect just yet, because what I'm waiting to do is waiting to work out whether or not these lengths are going to be okay to fit around the bottle. But the next job to do is to punch these holes. Now, what you'll notice is I haven't marked this one up, and there's a very good reason for this. When I get this hot and punch this, I'm going to stretch these holes, and that means they're going to get longer. Because they're going to get longer, that means I'm going to need to work out the stretch. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to punch this hole and then this one, and then I'm going to work out where this hole ends up, and then I'm going to work out where this hole ends up. To find these points here, if you're following along on the make, it's 100mm from here to here, which is 4 inches, and then it's 30mm from this line back to here, and then 30mm from here to here. Now, that is 1.25 inches to here, and then another further 1.25 inches to here. Okay, right, I'm going to chuck this back in the fire, and I'm going to punch these holes. Dun 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 dun. London dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. London and mama. So I think I said that I was going to take these up to 16mm, but I've changed my mind. I think where I've got, like I said, this is a little bit the fly. So what I've done is I've just tidied up this 12mm drift that I have, and I'll run that through instead. Also, this bar's a bit short, so if you have gone for the 12-inch length, I think you're going to end up finding that you're getting a bit hot here. Okay, so something I've noticed is that that slitting punch isn't quite right for these 12mm. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the other slightly bigger drift. I'm just going to open these out until they're a nice and tidy size. Now I don't want to go too far, I just want to make sure this is round. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. Okay, second hole now. Right, I'm not going to do what I did last time and use that punch, the 12mm one, because I think it just caused me a lot of bother really. Yeah, so that's a bit tidier. Yeah, looks better already. Now, something that might happen here at this point is this hole here might start deforming because of our vicinity to the first hole, so that's something to be aware of. So just going to have to keep an eye on that as we work our way through. Okay, so my plan here is to use these arms to wrap around the bottle initially, and then have a base that's going to pop up and sort of cup the bottom here. Now, for that I need a certain amount of length in these in order to wrap around this bottle to get the results that I would like. And to do that, I took a piece of aluminium TIG wire, I wrapped it round the outside of the bottle, which isn't exactly the diameter, it's a bit greater, but it gives me a good reference to go from. Now, that is what we've come out with. So this is ever so slightly longer than the diameter of the wire when it was wrapped around the bottle. And then I've proceeded to go and find something that's going to match that size that I can lay on here and use as a former to wrap round. Now, I am making an assumption that this wine bottle is a bit small. It's not the fattest of wine bottles I've ever seen, and I want this to be a little bit fatter. So basically what I've done is I found a spacer that's just going to be a bit bigger, and then there'll be an open gap at the front, which should look quite nice, I hope. So I'm not going to bend these up now, but I was just checking the length to make sure that we had enough material. I will tell you how long this is, just 1 second. It is 10 1/4 inches, or 258mm in length, and that should get you by just nicely. Right, the next thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at putting this first bend in here, and then thinking about how I'm going to make the little lip on the end here and not get it in the way of these rivets, because when I come to assemble it, if I can't get to it, I can't rivet it together. Okay, so just quickly, what I've done is I've measured 120mm from this end to here. I've put a line in the chalk with a square. I've marked each side. That's 4 inches and 3/4. I've forgotten it already. Typical Dan move, that one. Yeah, 4 inches and 3/4. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this bit here hot. I'm probably then going to quench off up to about here. I'm going to jam it in the vise, and I'm going to start bending this over. Right, let's get on. I can see this getting a little bit fiddly with all this quenching and stuff going on. So I'm just going to pop him in here in the vise. Fortunately for me, that's as low as it'll go. Oh, that's a coincidence, wasn't it? You can try and get that as horizontal as possible, and then I'm going to pull this over, and as I'm pulling it over, Just going to get that in there nicely. Lovely. Now what I've done is I've put a piece of angle iron in the jaw of the vise just to help promote a nice corner. This has twisted ever so slightly, but it hasn't really twisted that badly. Okay, so this is going really well. I'm going to continue to make this object this evening, but we've got these two pieces here now. So basically what's going to happen here is this piece here is going to wrap round and it's going to become like a not complete circle, and then the bottle of wine is going to sit in there, and then these are going to become two little rings and they're going to have the glasses in, and then it basically needs a stake, which I'm going to make in the next episode. Well, I'm actually going to make it now, but I'm going to record that now and then put it in for the next episode. And talk about assembly stuff. I'm sorry, I kind of cocked up the hole punching on this side, on this one. I don't know what I was thinking, but you know, that's what happens sometimes. But it's okay now, it's all sorted, it's all lined up and looks pretty good. So next episode will be, like I said, the stake. It'll also be a rough fixing together using some bolts. The other thing I just wanted to bring up is I started this at 3. It's now 6, but I've been messing around the camera and I've stopped and I've had a bit of a break for 5 minutes. So I'm going to say we've got about an hour and a half's worth of work here so far, and that's important because when we get to the end I want to talk about how we're going to price this up and how much something like this should cost once you've got all the nooks and cranny, which you've got all the minor details fettled down and right. Some of you might go, oh my god, you charge that much money for stuff like that, and the answer is yes. Some stuff gets charged out at a reasonable rate. So anyway, so thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and if you are a subscriber, remember to ring that bell for notifications. You might need to go into your settings to check to see check to set your notifications up so it alerts you every time I make a video, because YouTube does weird stuff at the minute. But I think that's everything. In the comments down below, let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you thought of the content of this video. I really would like some feedback. And also let me know what you thought of the editing and the new software, because I'm trying it out and so far I'm getting some reasonable results. The video quality should be better already, and the sort of editing quality as a whole should be a little bit better. But just let me know. I really would like your feedback on that. So that is everything. I'll leave a link up here to a video that I have made recently. I'll leave a link down here to another video. This is my Patreon, great way to support the channel, and this here is the subscribe button. Thanks for joining us. Bye bye.